Alchemist. I am here to tell you about our favorite independent bookstore in Monroe, Georgia. You may be wondering, where's Monroe? Because I was too. Monroe is 40 miles east of Atlanta. It's kind of in between Athens and Atlanta, almost like a middle spot, but not exactly. So we ended up in Monroe because my dad has furniture at a consignment store in Monroe, and he discovered for us a bookstore called the Story Shop, and we love it. So we are willing to drive a ridiculous amount of time to go to Monroe and go to the Story Shop, and you might be willing too. If you are not the world's greatest reader with your kids, one, you should try and change. It's important. I'll do a separate video on literacy and why reading books to your kids is so important. But this bookstore is unique in that there are kind of some other cool things to do inside. So when you first come in, you'll come to kind of the cash register and a really old wardrobe, like The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. And if the doors aren't open, you can open them up, and it opens up into this giant reading room, and that's where they do their story time. And my kids just like to run inside because it's just a really big empty room with a couple of benches on the side for parents to sit in. And then you come back out of the wardrobe. Books are everywhere, but there's a swing that you can swing in. There's a little rocking ride-on toy that rocks. There are little nooks and crannies like built-in benches, places where you can stop and read. There's a cool little door that you can open and go inside, kind of a hiding spot. The ceilings in there are really low, maybe like 3.5, 4 feet. So sometimes we crawl in there and read a book inside there. Then they have a beautiful events room where sometimes they will host an event. You can find it on their Facebook page. Like, oh, we're having a Ferdinand the Bull XYZ event, and you can go pay to go to these kind of fancier events. Or you can rent it for birthday parties. It's really cool. This giant long table. Anyways, you can check it out. So we love it. We love going in and reading and finding new books, and it's great. So right next door, I don't know who the city planners are in Monroe, but they're brilliant. Right next door to the children's bookstore is Amici's, a pizza place. If you go the opposite directions, there's a couple of clothing boutiques, kind of an interior design store that's unique and kind of bohemian flair. The end of that strip is Scoops. It is an amazing ice cream store, but if you have a child who is not easily persuaded to follow directions, the whole store is covered in candy and stuffed animals, and so it can be a little overwhelming. And if that might ruin your day, maybe just don't go in Scoops if you have to buy $60 worth of stuffed animals and candy. So that strip is cool. Across the road from you is more cool stores, a coffee shop, some kind of consignment stores where you there's different booths inside the store. Across from the courthouse is a unique place called Rinse, and they make lots of handmade soaps and kind of lotions and all kinds of good smelling stuff. It's right across from the courthouse. One mom tip that I have for Monroe is I usually take a stroller nowhere anymore. My youngest is almost 3, but Monroe, the main drag is so busy. There's like a Walmart distribution center right there, and so there are semi-trucks just cruising. So this is a place that I wish I had known. I should have brought my stroller, just because as I'm waiting at crosswalks, I've got 3 little hands to hold, and I just wish I had one strapped in, and I felt like he was not out of my reach. So that's my one caveat to Monroe. Across from Rinse, I said there's an old courthouse. If you're not into history, I'll do a separate video and talk about the courthouse. Monroe is 200 years old this year, so the courthouse is probably in that realm. I know they updated it more recently, but it's an old building. It's really beautiful. We got to look around last time we were there. But this is the year to visit Monroe, and I'll tell you why. Because we went in the courthouse, and they told us it is their 200th anniversary, or their bicentennial. Walton County is where you can find Monroe, and they're doing all of these events for their bicentennial. So there are In June, they're having an interfaith jubilee. It says the citizens will gather to have an interfaith celebration to include messages, choirs, and dramas to be followed by dinner on the grounds. Consider it Walton County's homecoming. If you're not from the South and you don't know what like a church homecoming is, they don't mean like a dress up, like dress and dance. It's not that. You'll have to Google it. They're having a 4th of July big celebration with arts and crafts, food, live music, kids' activities, fireworks. October, they've got several things. Heritage Day, they're planting a tree sometime, a Veterans Day tribute, and then at Christmas, December 15th, it says they're going to have Christmas decorations, photographs, horse and buggy rides, and of course, a birthday cake large enough to serve the entire community. So that's this year, 2018, is their 200th anniversary. I think that's everything I want to tell you. There are a couple parks in Monroe. The one that's closest to the square, it looks like it's just kind of a walking track. There's no playground. But there is one called Matthews Park, I believe. It's a little bit farther out, but if you wanted to do downtown Monroe and then promise the kids some playtime with a playground, they have like a pond and even like a frisbee, you know, the frisbee game where you, I don't know the name, I can't think of it, but it's a pretty park that's a little farther out. Childers Park, the one that's close to downtown, I don't think there's really anything to do other than maybe just walk a little sidewalk, which could be fun. Anyways, check it out. I think you'll love it. I know I said that last time, but I'm not going to do videos about places that I don't think you'll love. So check it out. Get out your door and explore more. Okay, bye.